Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair agale ni hao chunashumme washmale. Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Hale shuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba. Buna, mucho gracias, suavia, balli kere aya, hosh gal din ayo sayo, khuya mora, chi bato. Chi hajut kali mera, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning on a fabulous, hot Monday morning over here in Islamabad. Ladies and gentlemen, alongside me, I'm very lucky to have been joined by my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajra Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan and I happen to be out of breath. Hello Hajra, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for introducing me. Jazakallah khair, Shahzad. So, yeah, I think it's a very fine morning, but obviously humidity levels have dropped down. But still, it is humid, and I'm really glad that the monsoon season is over because obviously we like rains, but we really do not like the humidity aspect of that, which is such an important and pertinent aspect of the monsoon season in the first place. But we are glad that we are living in Islamabad, which used to enjoy a moderate weather temperature, but I think because of the climate change, because of the abnormalities in the weather patterns, we are losing the the security of the weather system in terms of how whenever there was a rise in the temperature after 2-3 days, we would receive the rainfall. But see, this is all changing and we are really not happy about it. But Shahzad, since you were out on the weekend, you went to some other city.
Yeah.
So how was the weather there today?
I mean, I think that's the exact reason why I'm having a little difficulty today to breathe over here. So,
Okay.
because there was this climate shift for me. So, imagine, I was in Karachi. I landed on Friday, Alhamdulillah. I was there for 2 days. And imagine that the weather there it was superb. It was windy, it
wonderful.
wasn't warm. You couldn't feel the heat. And I was like, yeah, wow, I think it was a perfect t-shirt weather. And that's how I felt over there. And I was really happy that, okay, everything's just, you're not sweating too much.
Okay.
You can breathe easily. And it was perfect. And as soon as I landed
Is
back,
it different?
it is very different.
Okay.
It is very different over there. And it was to my surprise that Karachi ka weather was better than Islamabad.
Oh, okay.
And that's exactly how I felt. But as soon as I came back, I landed, I called my wife and I was like, hey, you know what, can you please help me? And can you please turn on the air conditioner before I'm home? And she did that. And even then, it was of no use. So imagine that, I made sure that I'm going to drop the temperature of the air conditioner to 16 or 17, wherever the minimum is. And it still didn't really work
So
for me.
I think it might be because of the fact that you're constantly working, you're constantly pushing your boundaries, and you're feeling that fatigue, and your body is reacting differently to the temperatures, to the external stimuli. I really don't know. I mean, this is one of the explanations that I can recall because I really don't feel that it's that much of a hot here as you are describing. But maybe you have to acclimatize to different
Exactly.
weather pattern from the
And
Karachi
imagine that
to
I'll be
Islamabad.
traveling to Lahore today
Oh
as
my
well. So
God,
for
oh
all
my
of
God.
those amazing viewers of World this morning,
Best
so
of
for
luck,
the
man.
next 4-5 days I won't be here. So Hajra, please make sure that you
Okay.
give them the best, and Alhamdulillah you always do that
Thank
as
you,
well. But with that,
Jazakallah.
ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with the top stories. What top story do we have, Hajra, in the first
Okay,
place
so
today?
Prime Minister has addressed via telephone. The caretaker Prime Minister Anwarul Haq Kakar has expressed the resolve to take the all possible measures for the development and the progress of Balochistan. He said while addressing the public gathering of Khan Mehatar-Zai and Kila Saifullah areas of Balochistan through telephone. The caretaker Prime Minister said all possible efforts will be taken to bring the Mehatar-Zai mine, Kila Saifullah, at par with other areas of the country. He also said that he will visit his native village, Khan Mehatar-Zai, and personally review the problems faced by the locals. And that's a very good initiative considering the fact that Balochistan is the biggest province, but it's not at par with the other developed provinces like Punjab. So Prime Minister is focusing a lot on bringing that marginalized segments of the society, especially which are residing in Balochistan, at par with the more developed or the core regions of the country. And that is why you can see that there's a lot of, especially in the cabinet members, they belong to Balochistan, and this is more of a representation of the provinces, and so the grievances of the people could be addressed in the first place. And it's very important that how a Prime Minister who is the sort of head of the state, who represents the government, is there. He's giving a reassurance to the people out there and making sure that there remains a fatherly figure there who is looking after people.
And Haja, in addition to this, this is very important for the understanding of people. So
Yes.
if you are to think that, okay, if the caretaker Prime Minister is actually going to go visit his native village,
Yes.
Khan Mehatar-Zai, I think what's going to happen is that, a lot of economic activity is going to be generated. generated. So just by the visit of the Prime Minister, a lot of economic activity is going to be generated. And not just that, when obviously the supreme leader of the country is going to go and visit his native village, there will be a lot of projects which will be coming to that particular area. And I really feel delighted over here that I think that the first things, a few of the first days in the Prime Minister's office, he has actually addressed his native village and the people of native village, and it's beautiful to see that how people want to contribute towards the development of Balochistan, and it certainly needs to happen because it will eventually contribute towards the GDP growth of the country, and that's what we're focusing on.
That's very true, and thank you so much for brilliantly putting it out there. But Shehzad, now let's kickstart a conversation and the segment of our topic, which is hinged around, so we talked about the weather and the scorching heat and the sunlight, yes, and how it impacts your skin type, and there are a lot of UV rays coming out, which is definitely impacting our skin, and it is proliferating the skin cancers around the world, which is in other words also known as melanoma in the medical parlance. But what is the difference between the skin types? How does it affect the skin types and the cancer? So for example, we see especially in the West, the Caucasian race, the white race, they are more prone to getting their skin tanned. But what are the repercussions for doing that without any protection? And how much important is it to have the sunblock in the first place? Because a lot of time we do hear that it's marketing, it's not very much effective in protecting your skin in the first place. And obviously because of the damage to the ozone layer, so we are getting more UV rays inside. So without any further ado,
and I certainly wanted to add over here, very sorry, because these numbers really need to be out there. So imagine that about 97,610 new melanomas will be diagnosed, unfortunately, within this year, where 58,000 men unfortunately will be diagnosed. That these what are the figures are, and 39,000 women. And in addition to this, obviously, that how the weather is and how UV rays are kind of impacting our skin, I think in addition to that, we really need to talk about how people have this complex of getting themselves more whiter and brighter, so everybody wants Gora Rang. And it's a
and
stigma.
Gore wants to get tanned, right?
Yeah, it's a dilemma to me, so nobody's happy with whatever Allah has given them. Yeah, I think every time we are on screen, we tell you that, whatever you've been bestowed with, please make sure that you thank Allah Almighty. So what they're doing is that they're actually taking whitening injections, and those injections at the same time are very harmful for people. And unfortunately, they're getting ill, they're getting diseases which are related to skin. And there's one more thing which you really need to remember, and that is that skin happens to be the largest organ of the human body. So we really need to look after it. And to talk about it, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be a consultant dermatologist all the way from USA. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Dr. Mubashir Daha. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much, Mr. Shehzad and Madam Haja Sati.
So, Dr. Saab, it's morning time over here, but what is the time in US as of now?
It's 1:15 a.m. in the US right now.
1:15 a.m. Thank you so much. So it's morning over there too. But sir, to get started, can you please first of all elaborate and share with our audiences those points which we are discussing? So there are skin cancers on the rise. People are getting whitening skin injections. Dermatologists over here in Pakistan are promoting them to get their business in. So how do you think people really need to react to this information?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shehzad. First of all, I would like to tell the audience of Pakistan, this is a great pleasure for me to be here in the US and to have a look over the research and the things like that they are doing here. And the most important thing you have pointed out that the people living in the US are white people. And there are some complexes, the people they were living in the subcontinent, especially Indo-Pakistan people and the Bangladeshi people. We have the complexes that we want to be white, and the people living here in US want to be tan. The issue between the tanning is that they are suffering a lot of cancer, skin cancer there. As you have told that they are suffering from melanoma, they are suffering from basal cell carcinoma, they are suffering from squamous cell carcinoma. And the most interesting thing which I need to tell the people, that the people who are more white, who are having the skin type 1, 2 or 3 are more prone to cancer. And interestingly, I want to tell you that the people who are white have the more tendency of getting the skin cancer. Like if the person who is white, he among the 38, one person is expected to get that cancer. But in the 10 people, like we, the people living in Pakistan, have the whitish skin. We have skin type 4 or 5 or 6. Among us, among us, there is chances of getting this cancer is 1 in 1,000. So you
Four,
see, this
four,
is
five,
blessing
six.
of Allah.
For skin type
Sorry.
4, 5, 6, just the way people are over here in Pakistan and Bangladesh. That's what we are saying, right?
Yeah, you are right.
So,
So,
one out
So,
of one out of thousand. That's the. Can you
yeah,
hear
one
me?
out of thousand. So you see the difference that the white people have chances of getting skin cancer 1 out of 38,
Okay.
and we people have the chance of getting skin cancer 1 out of 1,000. This is the blessing of Allah that we should appreciate that.
yeah. So certainly there's some sort of medical wisdom inside it, and obviously with the research we will get to know about it. But Dr. Saab, how can we prevent getting the skin cancers? And obviously, a lot of dermatologists recommend the sunblocks that should provide a protection. But I was having the conversation with one of the dermatologists, and she said that a lot of time these sunblocks are not actual protection which is being afforded to the skin type. It's just marketing. They're promoting their products for the money in the end. So how can we protect ourselves in the first place? Because obviously we have to go out, we have to work, and we have lots of exposure, especially in Pakistan, when it comes to the scorching sunlight in the first place.
You're absolutely right, Miss Hajra. But I want to tell you that the doctors who are doing practice there in Pakistan doing very well. It's not like that they are telling the people that you should do this and you should do this and these are for the business purpose. I tell you, the people living here in US, what do? They have the whitish skin. They have skin type A, and I may categorize it like they have skin type 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
They want to get tan. It's not only to prevent them from the skin cancer. This is trend and this is the fashion here. The people who are more white, they want to be tan. And we Pakistani, we are blessed enough that we have already tan skin. And as you are saying that the sunlight is damaging all over the world. This is not only for Pakistani people. This is not only for the US citizen. This is not only for the Spanish people. This is damaging for all over the world. And the sunblock is very much effective and very much useful to use it when we go outside the sun.
But
When we go
Dr. Saab,
outside,
can you also comment on the demographics? I mean, people living in the valleys, are they more exposed or more prone to getting this skin cancer as compared to people who are living in the mountainous areas? Because obviously it's more height and more exposure towards the sunlight. So what is the difference between the demographics when it comes to geographical territory?
you are absolutely right, Miss Hajra. This is a very well asked question. I am definitely the people living in Pakistan who are living in the hilly areas, they are more prone to skin cancer and skin diseases. Okay. The reason behind is this, that because they are more near to sun. So getting skin cancer and getting such type of skin disease, they are more prone to it. And above all, as you were saying before, that the sun rays who are coming to us and we are absorbing them, there are 2 types or 3 types of sun rays, ultraviolet A, B, and they are causing different diseases. So to wear the sunblock in our area, especially Islamabad, like we say Punjab, and the other areas like hilly areas, if you talk about the Pakistan, the northern areas, use the sunblock is more important for the people who are living in the northern areas. Okay. And especially one thing I want to mention, that the people living in our northern areas and especially the snowfall area, they think that during the snowfall we don't need sunblock. The people are more exposed to sun rays when they are in the snowy area. Okay. First, sun rays are coming directly to on our body, and the second is coming after the reflection from the snow. So to use a sunblock is very much important, and by using this, we can save ourselves from getting the skin diseases.
And Dr. Saab, in addition to that, I would want to come back to the first point where you said that, people with darker skin tones have lesser chances of getting skin cancers. Now, if we are to talk about the wisdom behind it or the research which goes into it, why do you think that we are saying that, people with fairer skin colors are actually more prone to skin cancer than people who have darker skin tones?
The main reason behind, I think, Ms. Hajra and Mr. Shazad, you have gone through a very well research before taking me to your call. The point you have asked is very much important. The thing that the people who have the tan skin color, they have the melanin in their skin, and melanin stops the skin, stops the sun rays, damaging skin, sun rays to go into the skin. Okay. And the people who are white and who are not tan, they don't have enough quantity of melanin in their skin, so they are more prone to skin cancer, they are more prone to skin diseases. All so right. Simply Pakistani people have more melanin in their body, in their skin, so the chances of getting skin cancer and skin diseases is less in the Pakistani people and more in the US people.
So it's like naturally Allah Pak has protected us, you know. So it actually feels like that. So
Yeah.
Shukr Alhamdulillah. And sir,
So
in
I'm
addition
saying
to
that
this,
Allah has blessed us with such type of skin.
yeah, and in addition to this, Doctor Saab, what I wanted to ask you over here was that over here, we do know that a lot of laser clinics have opened up. There's
Yes.
been a mushroom growth. We have a lot of aestheticians, a lot of treatments
True.
for the skin are being done. And with face, you know, it's a little simpler because they say that face, because it's too, vascularity is too high, that, you know, you certainly do not get any infection. But we have seen that, you know, that these skin injections with these Botox, you know, people are using them everywhere. How do you think that the skin will react to it? God forbid if we are overusing it. God forbid, certainly we have, because we have no idea what it's going to do in near future with people who've been injecting Botox to themselves or other laser treatments which are taking place. So do you think that these treatments can actually make us more prone to, unfortunately, getting skin illnesses or cancer?
No, Mr. Shazad, you have asked a very
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we're trying to get back in touch with Doc Saab over here. But before we kind of get back to our question, there's one more thing which we certainly want to discuss, and we are always prepared for that, Hajar. So do you want to kind of jump onto that? All right, so we're going to come back to the skin part of it. We're going to connect with Doc Saab, but
Yes.
there's another reason why people certainly want to be more fair,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and do
yeah.
not, and they're like, okay, we do not like darker
Yes.
skin tones so that our pictures come
True.
amazing, you know.
Yes.
And over here in Pakistan, we
Right.
have this, I think, कहावत है कि जी गोरा रंग शादी के लिए बड़ा जरूरी है. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think for girl and boy both, you know, they're like, okay जी मुंडा बड़ा गोरा है, हाँ जी मुंडी कुड़ी बड़ी सोनी है. क्यों है जी? ओ जी रंग बड़ा गोरा है. And I think that people really need to come out of this complex in the first place, because I would never advocate that, you know, that कि शादी तब आसानी से हो सकती है जब आपका रंग गोरा होता है. I think
That's very true, and thank you for brilliantly putting it out there. And this is one way of saying that how through social media, through the picture saturated century, we are getting all of these perception. But there's general a pushback against
Yeah.
this narrative. But obviously now we have the connection that has been restored, and we'll move to Dr. Saab. So Dr. Saab, we've talked about what do you call vulnerabilities in the skin types. But now let's move to the early detection and the diagnosis part of it. So
and before you kind of move on to that, you know, can you please answer my question where I asked you about, you know, how people are more prone to these treatments which are available, and unfortunately
Yes.
can they be at risk of skin illnesses or diseases?
Yeah, Mr. Shah, I was going to answer your question. You're right that there are, first of all, I want to tell you the people, people in Pakistan, the US people are also very much concerned about their cosmetics issue.
Yeah.
But the thing, the difference I have felt here that the cosmetics procedure are very much expensive here.
True.
I just give you one example that the people here where I am working with the Wayne State University, Henry Ford Hospital, and I have different rotations here. So I want to tell you that I am giving you only one example that the PRP charges here in US, only PRP charges of the hair for hair regrowth that we are doing in Pakistan is $700.
Oof.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
In Pakistan, we normally charge it to 20,000, 25,000 or 15,000. Normally people charge it.
And
So it's very
that's
expensive.
exactly why people are coming down to Pakistan to get themselves treated, because it's cheaper over here.
Yeah. This is so the people, most of the people come to Pakistan for the cosmetics and the dental procedure.
Yes.
And second thing I want to tell you that you are asking that either these procedures are safe or not. Definitely these procedures are safe, but here in US you can't do any practice that is not FDA approved.
Okay.
In Pakistan, doctors are doing the practices which are FDA approved. But the issue is this, that most of the people who are not doctor, who are not medical graduate, they are doing the practice that is causing the problem.
Yeah.
So if a doctor is doing the practice and he is following all the international guidelines and he has been trained from the international trainers, he is good enough in the cosmetics. And
Right.
cosmetics procedure, if you talk about the Botox, filler and anything like that, that is totally safe. So we can do that and we can get it to enhance our personality, to enhance our beauty.
Yes, so Dr. Saab, before we move on and close this, wrap up this segment, so we would quickly like to take an approach towards the early detection and diagnosis. So what are the symptoms of that, and if we are getting some symptoms, is early diagnosis possible? Is it curable in the first place? So let's move towards this discussion.
So, Ms. Hajra, the hair, what practices I have seen here, people come to the dermatologist on regular skin checkup. They call it body skin checkup, and this is just like we go for periodic our lab investigations there in Pakistan. Here in US, people come for the skin examination, for the whole body skin examination on regular basis.
Okay.
Okay.
And normally it is being done on the annual basis, but the people who are more prone to it, who are more suspected, they call them on six monthly basis.
Okay.
So this is how the diagnosis is being done. And then after that, the people, when the doctor and dermatologist examine them, then they go for the further investigation if it is required, and then they plan for the treatment. But the thing is this, that here in USA, the treatment plan and the investigation plan and everything is so advanced that most of them are cured before getting so much sick that that is not controllable.
Well, it's
So
wonderful.
if we talk about the cosmetics, if we talk about the skin cancer, if we talk about any skin disease which they have seen here, which they are treating here, they are doing the best. But I would appreciate the Pakistani doctors are also doing good. But certainly I'm here to learn few things, and I hope I will be in a good position to serve my nation in future.
Alhamdulillah, sir, and thank you so much for your kind suggestions. But towards the end, because everybody is going to ask this question, and everybody asking this question from people who are not doctors. So people kind of write to me in my inbox, what is my skincare routine? So why shouldn't we ask you as a dermatologist, for any healthy human being, what sort of water intake is important for their skin to be glowy? What sort of skin routine we need to have? What sort of creams do we need to use to just protect our skin and look good every single day? Please.
Yes, you're right. Interestingly, Mr. Shizad, the things which we need to do for care of our skin is the same in Pakistan, is the same in US.
Okay.
There is no difference. We are the human being. We have the same body structure and the same way our body responds.
True.
So, taking good water, taking care of your skin, properly moisturizing it, taking wearing proper sunblock is good option.
Okay.
If we do such type of things, taking proper sleep, taking proper water, using vegetables, using fresh juices, these are the things which keeps your skin healthy,
True.
which keeps your personality enhanced, and with this you're not going to early aging.
Okay.
So I would recommend to go to adopt these healthy habits, and inshallah you will be happy with your skin.
And sir, there are a lot of anti-aging creams these days available in the market. So would you recommend using those anti-aging creams?
But again, my concern is, if some doctor is recommending, then it's good enough. And
Yeah.
if you are getting these creams recommended by some quack and some non-medical practitioner, then I can't say anything.
All right.
So,
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And we certainly want
Thank
to
you so
wish
much.
you best of luck in trying
Thank you
to
very much.
sleeping,
Thank you.
because it's 1:30 over there almost in the morning. So please make sure that you're on time and you're at your hospital on time too as well. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much, Dr.
wonderful contribution in our program, for our viewers, who actually span out in 46 different countries. And we will certainly make sure that we're going to have our skins more healthier, and we will prioritize that, we certainly need to look after our skin as much as we look after our health in general.
Yes, and with that we will wrap up our segment, and we will go towards a short break. And after we come back, so we have very interesting discussion lined up in the first place, because obviously we were alluding towards the pictures and what does pictures mean, and how do people are taking their photographs in order to look better, and then how does that encapsulate it?
And one more thing, and that is that, so do you remember that earlier in Pakistan there was this cream with the name of Fair and Lovely?
Yeah.
And imagine, so they were taken to the court, and they had to change their name because it was discriminatory for those people to actually label that cream with Fair and Lovely only. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the right track. How do we need to do it? How do we need to take good photos of ourselves is something which we'll be asking, because it's not always that you're going to always look good, right? So one way or the other, the photographer needs to be good as well. So we're heading out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Welcome back. And before going on to the break, we were constantly alluding towards the pictures and how there's this narrative which is being, which was there for a quite long time about how the beauty standards have been defined and they're very reductive in their approach. So beautiful person is the one that has a fair skin, a very Caucasian skin. But I'm glad that there are lots of feminist narratives that are pushing back against this narrative, and a more wholesome concept of the beauty is emerging. And this is because of the fact of the social media and a lot of filters that are in place. But I think it's not fair to describe this entire situation in this one perspective, because this week happens to be World Photography Week, and photography encompasses a whole more concept, right?
True.
So there's wildlife photography, there's natural photography,
Landscapes.
nature, landscapes, cityscaping, whatnot. And there is this famous maxim going on: a picture is worth 1,000 words in the first place, right? So a lot of photographers, they can enjoy clicking up the pictures, capturing the moment out there, and lots of other things that encapsulates out there. So in order to celebrate this week, in order to talk a lot about pictures, what does photography means and how people are passionate about it, and with the social media, we see that there's this proliferation of this trend of clicking pictures, because social media is mostly picture saturated in the first place, be it Instagram, be it Snapchat, be it TikTok and whatnot, right? So without any further ado, we would like to introduce our guest, because she happens to be a photographer. She has been here to our studio, and we're very glad that we have been joined by Miss Masooma Zubairi. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Assalam, and thank you so much for calling me again for this celebrating this beautiful week.
So this is the World Photography Week going on. How do you celebrate it? Do you click a lot of pictures in this week, and how do you celebrate it in general?
Well, I presented the entrepreneurship of a child. I've actually done the workshop of photography, and there was a little girl who clicked a very beautiful picture. So I gave her my card and the certificate that she is the future photographer. So
Wow.
that's how I celebrated this.
And that's how, we're supposed to promote it. So imagine for people wherever they may probably be, ladies and gentlemen, the theme happens to be landscapes this time around.
Yes.
And what they say is that you certainly need to, for whatever picture resonate with you, your personality, you need to like it, share it, and use the hashtag World Photography Day, which was on the August of 19. And since we do not have a show on Saturday, so we wanted to address over here, because these days photography journalism is actually the buzzword, and everybody's
Yes.
talking about it, and it's so hard for people to understand what photography journalism is. So you take one picture, and where Hajra actually alluded to it, it speaks 1,000 words. So can you explain to our viewers what photography journalism is, if you can?
Well, I guess there was a war going on in Russia, and the person who was clicking the picture was crying really badly because she was doing her job, and she was capturing that particular moment when the other person was killing the second person, and she had to capture that.
True.
And because she wanted to tell a story to the world, so that is the perfect example I can give it to you right now.
And that's exactly what I wanted you to kind of say, and thank you so much for for putting it out there so that people can understand. But the reason why I asked you this question was that how many times do you actually share a picture which exactly shares the same story? Because don't you remember that we used to see this picture where this man was running when
Yes.
we all became a media student,
Yes.
and then there was this other man, but it looked like as if he had a dagger in his hand,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it was just about the picture, so you go, you kind of zoom out of it and you see that it's actually two men running rather than
Yes.
somebody killing somebody.
That's
Unfortunately,
basically the camera point of view, maybe, or telling people that what exactly happening in the scene. But not everyone can understand that.
True.
Not everybody can perceive that. Oh, that was a very difficult moment to capture, but that was difficult. That was difficult.
Right.
So
yeah, of course. And we can see, like Shahzad mentioned, that there are lots of out of context pictures that has been used and that has been taken, and I think there's lots of wars that happened because of those pictures. And because I'm a media journalist, a media student, and I can recall that how there was this picture-induced war which was going on back in 18-something. But now let's talk about the photography, and let's talk about how a picture encapsulates a lot of emotions, right? And there's a lot of framing, there's a lot of angles and whatnot. So do you need to have a very fancy, expensive camera in order to click good pictures? As a photographer, what is your experience?
well, I guess I don't think so. You need to have a perfect camera of worth rupees 4 lakhs or 3 lakhs rupees, your mobile phone is good enough to take the picture, because if you
Which
have
is
a
exactly of 4 lakh rupees these days.
I'm not talking about iPhones, because
Yeah.
I myself have used these analog phones and the cameras. So I know that when you click it, you need to have that aesthetic sense,
True.
that to capture a moment in a way to impress and to believe that when it will go on the social media, it will catch the people, the audience.
And you know, thank you so much for saying that and making it simpler for people. But yes, I think I'm an avid believer. If you can invest in a good camera, please make sure to do that, because it will certainly help. Because not everybody is going to have that
Yes.
aesthetic sense.
Yes.
You know, everybody wants pictures, everybody wants cameras, or everybody wants to, you know, hear that sound of the shutter speed. You know, tong.
Yes.
You know, everybody wants to kind of see that or listen to that. But what I would want to ask you is that, do you think that there is a formula, especially if we talk about the theme landscapes, that okay, you know, 20% proportion of the sky, you know, 40% proportion in the middle somewhere, then the land. So does it really work? And then how does the editing part of it kind of resonates with making a picture greater or look amazing?
Well, I guess I actually gives my own example, because
Yeah.
I know that when I started it, I used to take a lot of pictures when I was not that pro.
Okay.
So I was just at the beginner level. When I started it, I used to take 50 or 40 pictures. And out of that, I used to see the properties of the picture, which one which one was the best one.
Yeah.
And then in the manual mode, when I moved on towards the beginner, from the beginner to the pro level, I use that particular properties in that manual level, and those pictures were amazing.
So what proportion, if you are to kind of tell or share with our audiences?
The perfect angling, like long shot, extreme long shot, middle shot, close up, extreme close up. These are, and there are few more.
Yeah.
180-degree rule and rule of thirds.
Okay, please go ahead, explain it to us.
Rule of thirds is basically, your subject should be on one side of the frame.
On the
Yep.
third grid, yes.
Yeah, the third grid. And
Which is why I always, make sure that, I have these grids with me so that I
Yes.
can kind of position the objects
you can put
within my own phone.
you can use the most powerful right now picture is the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the more viral picture.
So what do we do is that we
It-
put the object in probably one half of the
one
picture?
half of the, like on
And
the
it attracts a lot of attention
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
first place, because the image which is center, or the subject which is in the center, does not attract that much attention. But Masuma, you speak so passionately about the
And
photography.
then 180 rule bhi na, 180 rule
Yes,
pooch
yes,
lo.
and I
180
think
degree.
after this show, Shahzad and I will have certainly some clicks from you if
Sure,
you don't
sure.
mind it.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about what makes a picture unique, right, in your eyes as a photographer. So you talked about the expensive cameras are not important in the first
Yeah.
place,
Yes.
right? So what is the uniqueness of the picture which attracts you in the first
And the
place?
rule of 180, please.
Okay, starting from rule of 180. 180 is basically if you're talking and I'm talking and the camera is capturing from your shoulder and
Yeah.
my shoulder.
Over the shoulder.
So over
yeah.
the shoulder,
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
over the shoulder is
Okay.
180 degree rule.
OT, okay, we call it, we call it OT shot,
OT
bolte hain
shot.
हमको, in television. And if if any one of you have actually watched my PTV Sports Wala program, ladies and gentlemen, so we usually do the over the shoulder where Rashid bhai is sitting right in front of me. It looks
Yeah.
fantastic
Yes.
and amazing.
Yes.
So it gives the gentleman the perspective. It's more of my POV.
Yeah.
I think it's more like that, because
Yes.
that's how it looks like as well.
It makes more powerful. The subject is more powerful when you capture it
Yeah.
over the shoulder. One more tip I want to give to the girls.
Sure.
If you
Why the
want,
girls, though?
yeah, because if
They
they're
get more
chubby,
pictures.
yeah, they have this dilemma in their minds that हमें पतला आना चाहिए.
Yeah. नीचे
So
से-
if you take the pictures from the high angle, you
Yeah.
will definitely look slim.
True.
Do not take the pictures from low angles.
Okay.
Because, okay, what makes a picture unique in your eyes?
Well, I guess the beauty of the subject. That's what I think.
Right.
One of my picture, she's my bhanji,
Mashallah.
and she was doing this, and her eyes was horrified. So I used that picture on the Women's Day.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's what we were referring to, that a picture will have a very different context when it was
Yes.
taken, but when it is posted, it will have a very different context and content to it. So
Yes.
please make sure that you really need to have that eye to judge. And coming back to where we were talking about how slimmer and shorter. So if you see all of those celebrities, people most of the time follow away in Pakistan.
Yes.
Don't you think that, that most of the time their film angles or with the film cameras, they're being shot from downside so that they look a little taller.
Yes.
So, let's talk about such techniques as well. People who are fatter, slimmer, because अल्लाह माफ करे अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कोई अपने से खुश नहीं है वो कह रहा है मैं मोटा लग रहा हूँ मैं पतला लग रहा हूँ मैं चौड़ा लग रहा हूँ मैं इस तरह लग रहा हूँ
I do that.
Yeah,
I do that. I
everybody
use
does that.
high angles.
Everybody
I
does
think
that,
that-
but people really need to have this gratitude in themselves. यार कि आप सेहतमंद हैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह.
Conscious sort of a century, especially because of the social media, because
Yes.
there's a lot of this competition,
Yeah.
peer pressure, where beauty standards are so reductive in the nature. I'm glad that there is a pushback against it, but I think it takes a lot of time to change the behaviors in the first place. But Masooma, coming back to you, since you're a photographer, and we see that there's proliferation of lots of photographers. Every other person has the DSLR,
Yes.
and they're clicking, they're snapping the pictures, putting it on their Instagram or social media in the first place. So if someone is an immature person and he wants or she wants to venture into this field, what sort of suggestions would you give as an expert?
I would suggest that please do not, first of all, do not lose hope if you don't get any events, or maybe someone doesn't approach you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just keep on working and buy your work and tell the world that you can make a difference.
True. And thank you so much for saying that, because imagine that social media is still at your disposal. All you need to do is probably make sure that you're going to dress up your sister and be like, "Aao main tumhara, let me do your bridal shoot," or whatever you call it. So you can do it any day, any time, and every time. So please
Whether
make sure
if
that
you're
you
not
kind of
paid,
keep at it.
whether if you're not paid, I've seen that such events. Only my brand was there, and I wasn't paid for that thing.
Okay.
But I was happy being recognized. My brand was recognized.
Yeah.
So that was good enough at the initial level.
Initial level.
Yeah, so,
Initial
so
level.
let's discuss this as a profession as well.
Okay.
Right.
So for all of those people who want to be, photographers just the way you're doing, because you not only do bridals, you do almost all sort of photography,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So how does it vary? What are the rates? If you are to speak about, that somebody will call you, yeah, please, we're getting married. Can
Abhi
you
kali
please,
share ki.
can you please do that? So just. And I am asking you this question for the sake of people who are out there who want to hire a service which they think is great and amazing and will make their day when they're going to see the pictures. So how much do you think it should cost? Because if I'm going to go to talk to Tariq Amin Saab, I think he's going to ask me 1 million rupees. I go to Tappu Javeri, he's going to ask me something else. So it totally depends on the kind of brand value you have constituted. But how much? मैं कितने पैसे दूं अपनी शादी की शूट के लिए? मेरी हो गई वैसे किसी की?
Shahzad, I think that starting from one
Okay.
and
100,000, how many pictures?
100,000 or maybe 110 or 130. That for my packages, it's like unlimited pictures.
Okay.
And if it's a signature shoot, I will do it myself. It's a
What is a signature shoot?
signature shoot is basically my name.
Okay.
That
So
I've
you
done
do
it. I have done the shoot.
Not
That is
your
what you-
assistants or
yeah,
anybody
yeah,
else
yeah,
out there.
the team or anything. That cost a different thing.
Yeah,
And
how much?
approximately 50 or maybe 60,000 extra.
Mashallah.
Other
So
than
almost
the-
200,000 rupees. And
Yeah.
so when we speak of 200,000 or 150,000 rupees, does that really mean that that you're going to print those pictures and then give it to me in the final shape of an album?
Yes. Album which contains 100 pictures, and that will be a digital album. by
Yeah, and that's something which I wanted to talk about, that now the concept is of digital albums, which I
Yes.
don't like at all. And the problem is that for all of those laptops I've had, ever since I was a child, I haven't really, kind of kept the data with me, So one way or
Okay.
the other, the laptop is gone and the data is gone
It's
too.
lost in the
Yeah.
bytes, bits and bytes.
Yeah,
and
so that's why I don't like digital albums. So I still like, being hands-on.
Analog, yeah.
So if it's not a digital album and it's an analog album, tangible album, how much will it cost then?
Analog album nowadays costs around 4,000 only.
4,000 only?
Yeah,
That's it?
That's it. People say it costs around 7,000. No.
सर जी वो हमने बाहर से मंगवाई है तो वो उसके ऊपर तस्वीरें लग जाएंगी तो
Digital
इतनी अच्छी
album. If
लगेंगी
you're
तो
you're talking about analog or digital?
analog
Analog is 3,000 or 4,000. Digital is 10 to 15,000.
because now what they are doing is that those leaflets of the album, they print the pictures on those
Yes.
leaflets, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
nobody can take those pictures out. For example, if your khala is asked for the album, so no picture is going to be missing. Earlier in those days,
For
बच्चों की
albums-
तस्वीरें miss हो जाती थी
For
album में से.
albums, the money all it goes to the editor. Nothing comes up to us for the album.
What's the point then?
You know, it's just the we can complement that thing to
Okay.
the
And
to
obviously,
our-
editor is working here, so he or she really needs to kind of make some money for themselves, and it's great. So, if you are to give some quick tips, quick fixes for people who are out there, what will be your quick tips? Ready to go tips for people about photography.
First, don't run after money, please. Do not do this because you lose events,
Yeah.
right? Secondly, just be whatever who you are and just give your best.
Yeah.
Although you will be facing critics, do not take critics in a negative way. Just make it in a positive way that upcoming events you not do the same mistake you've done before.
Yeah.
And the last but not the least is that if you have done something wrong, give something complimentary to your client so that he or she will be
And
happy.
would you
They will
recommend
be happy.
accepting it on the client's face that okay, I've made this mistake?
I've
Or
done
do you-
that.
No, no,
I've done
no,
that.
That's fine. That's fine that you've done it. Not a lot of people
Yeah,
do that.
no,
na?
no.
So imagine it was my Rukhsati, and I've asked all my friends to bring in their coolest cars and whatnot, so
Okay.
Hummer limousines and whatnot. So imagine, I still do not have any clip of that reception of my barat because the photographer didn't
Sir,
reach
I
in
can
time.
give you extra shoot.
No, he
for
didn't
that.
do anything because he was a family photographer. I was
and-
like,
and-
yeah,
and
Jasmine, what have you done?
And that's very annoying, and certainly a lot
Yeah.
of people do complain about it. But now let's talk about the still photography. And I think we are all aware of the concept of the humans of the New York, because what that person used to go was that he used to click random pictures of the people,
Yes.
and he had the story to share. And it was very enticing
True.
read because he was humanizing the faces of different people, of different stories and
Expressions, I
yes.
guess.
Yes, and on that pattern, then a lot of other such concepts proliferated, like humans of Islamabad, humans of particular university, NAS. So I belong to NAS, so I have seen that, right? So how enticing is that concept in the first place, especially if someone wants to venture out in that field? And do you think that there is a market out there which can capture that?
I guess yes, because in Pakistan, especially when it's a trend, and if you make another human of something, it will go viral anyways. So I guess yes.
But I think that the problem with these trendy things is that you skyrocket, your fame skyrocket in a night and in a day, and then certainly the buzzword dies and the conversation then dies, and then how do you sustain yourself in such a competitive environment, in such a picture saturated century, when people's attention span is so short in the first place that they move on to other topics, to other highlights, right? So we don't see that humans of the New York that often as it was a trend
Yeah.
once a time, and
Yes.
there was a lot of hype when he was coming to Pakistan. I do remember.
But people do remember it, so that's one thing, so in today's time, that's how I refer to it, that okay, there will be a day when your clip or picture is going to get viral.
I
And
totally
after
want-
that, it's certainly your personality
It's
who's
very
actually going to
short-lived.
keep it intact. Now imagine that, Arshad Chaiwala has actually done a good job, yaar. His restaurant is opened up in London, so he's made sure that he's going to get those investors
Yes.
in. Not everybody is so smart.
But that's not representation, Shazad. That is an exception in the first
True.
place, right?
But we are
yeah.
prone to such exceptions now in this era of digital media.
yes,
I
yes.
just want to include one thing. I teach media to A levels, and I can see that we actually make original music videos and original magazines
Yeah.
for Cambridge level.
Wonderful.
So when I teach them, and when they come out of these ideas of humans of Islamabad, or the different photography tips, they're more passionate about introducing more new things in the society to make it more viral. And it goes viral because they have new ideas and they're very passionate about it.
True.
But I do remember, Shazad, because there was this another end of the debate, because there was this kid, a small kid, his name was Aslan, and he was a Syrian refugee, was wearing that red shirt and blue shorts, and do you remember
I've
he
seen
washed
him,
up
yeah,
on
yeah.
the shore, right?
Yep.
So there was a lot of conversation that how refugees, they're capsizing in the boats, there's a lot of chaos going on into the country, and they're migrating towards the Europe, and Europe is not taking them in, right? So now that conversation has died down in the first place, because these are the shortcomings of the virality element of that, right? So people's attention span,
True.
they're very short. There's no conversation on how people are suffering in the global south in the first place,
Exactly
right?
how the conversation was about Ocean Gate, and
Yes. Now it's
unfortunate
no more.
that unfortunate
Yes.
incident did took place. A lot of people lost their precious lives, and now the conversation is over, and now nobody's talking about it. But certainly, when you see or come across a picture or a post which actually kind of kindles you from within, you know,
Right.
that's the kind of content which people certainly need out there, you know, where you
And-
get emotional, where you get all of those mixed emotions out there for people, and to do it with a picture only is something which I label as the most difficult job in this world.
And one last question before we wrap up, especially with the artificial intelligence, where we see the pictures are created on the social media. Where do you
Yes.
see your future in the first place, Masuma?
That's very scary, by
Yes.
the way. That's very. I've recently shared the post of this AL concept.
Yes.
AI, sorry, concept.
AI generated pictures, yeah.
This
They're very
has
real
And
in
these
the first
YouTubers
place.
these
this
days,
has
they're
to
doing
stop. Seriously, it's very threatening for females, obviously,
Yes.
but it's very scary at the
And
same
we've
time.
seen
like
that how
So anybody can generate any sort of an
Yes.
image, whatever you think about.
Right.
editing, up till editing, it used to, you know, tell us, okay, it's edited, but
Yeah.
in AI it doesn't seem like it's edited. It's
True.
like it's
very
original.
real. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very
So at
real.
least it is actually going to give you an excuse that yeah, you
Yeah.
know, it is artificial intelligence. Even if it's you, you're like, yeah, AI se banai
हाँ,
hogi."
AI से
You know, so please make sure that you use it sensibly, and make sure that you do not give everybody the right to take your pictures too. You know, everybody
Yes.
needs to be careful. Everybody needs to kind of keep that in mind. Please make sure that you do not post pictures of your babies, your children on your social media platforms. A lot of people are out there who are not good people. Please make sure that you keep them safe. You know, a lot of those pictures end up on the what do we call it, black web or dark web?
dark
Yeah,
web, yeah.
dark web.
Dark
So
web.
please make sure that everybody looks after themselves, and please do not put up content which kind of includes a lot of your family members. A lot of people are chasing a lot of people. They end up outside their houses. It can get a little scary. So please always be very careful about it.
And make sure that your social media is a public platform. It's not your personal diary. So whatever you post, be very mindful of how you are interacting with it. Don't be just, you know, mindlessly put all of the stuff out there that can be used against you. So with that, we will thank you, Masuma, for coming
you so
here,
much.
for
Thank you so much.
celebrating this
Thank
week
you.
with us. It was lovely having you and having this conversation. And with that, we will wrap up our segment and we will bid you farewell. And until next time, it's a goodbye and
1,
good
2, 3.
morning.
Good morning.